Funerals actually take a lot more planning than I expected. With us using island cuisine for the first time, of course we were iffy, but once they came and showed us their service, their food, tasted their food and everything, we definitely use them again because their service and food is just awesome.
The pompous
and elite
wish we go away
because we are
real and direct.
No interest owns us,
and we have no interest but
the truth. Together we are exposing
corruption.
Together we will reform criminal justice.
Together
We are fighting violence
Against women and children.
we here at
Kandit
will shine the light
on every corner of darkness.
Together, we are giving a voice
to the voiceless.
and forgotten.
Stay lit.
together
Together.
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 We are giving a voice to the voiceless and forgotten.
We are Kandit News Group.
for as many accolades and celebrations. Good evening, Marianas and Micronesia. I'm Troy Torres.
And I'm Johnny Rosario.
Welcome to our studios here in GovGuam. It is Tuesday, July 7th, and tomorrow is the hearing or the session that the legislature is having. It's at 10 a.m. and Kandit will bring you. We're going to be covering the session live.
Yeah, we're gonna have shots.
Well,
I'm allowed to have shots.
Yeah, we're all allowed to have shots.
Yeah.
Yes. So we're gonna play a drinking game. Every time the legislature recesses, we're gonna take a shot. You can all take a shot with us. All the Karens out there who are Candyland fans, join us.
Yes.
In some shot taking tomorrow. You know it's a Karen thing to do. I don't think we have ever gone live at 5:30, have we?
Never. Never.
This is new ground for us. So the first thing is
There is a family violence story today. Never mind.
because we have to.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, we'll do
She
that
was
one tomorrow.
arrested twice. I just wanted to let you know that.
Okay, maybe I'll do it tonight
Okay.
after
Okay.
because my 6 o'clock. Yeah.
Okay.
So the congressman early 4:30 in the morning, I got a news release from the congressman, and it was that House Resolution 7301 from the Financial Services Committee, of which he is the vice chairman, had passed the House and is headed to the Senate. And what HR 7301 does is extends the federal moratorium on evictions and provides financial relief to renters and landlords, homeowners, etc. So right now, the moratorium on evictions ends on July 25. But if this HR 7301 passes the Senate and the president signs it, it will become, or the moratorium will extend, and then there will be financial relief in the form of, I think it's 80-some million. Wait, it's
$82 million for Guam.
$89 million in mortgage assistance for Guam and $138 million in rental assistance for Guam. That is thousands of people that will help. And apparently, or just right before news time, the congressman sent over another release that he had asked Republican Party of Guam Chairman Senator Tony Atta for the Republican Party's help again in pushing the Senate, because the Senate is Republican controlled. So can we get the Republican Party on Guam to call their contacts in Washington, D.C. to push this? And so the first time that it panned out well for Guam was when the congressmen and the Republicans on Guam worked together to get war claims passed. And now I think it's rather it's cool, and it's also ironic that the party that the congressman has to go to is the opposing party.
Yeah, but they work well together.
Yeah, they work well together.
Yes.
It shows a
very
reaching
smart.
across the aisle
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So let's first before we do anything else, let's get Senator Tony Atta on the phone. Let me see if I can remember his. Oh, there.
This is
To talk
wonderful
about
news.
this. I know.
Let's
Let's
hope
see if
it
the
passes
Republican
the
Party
Senate.
is going to help out.
Hello.
Hi, good evening, Senator. This is Johnny, Troy, and Kandit Land.
Hey, Hoppaday. Troy, Hoppaday, Johnny.
Oh, and
Hoppaday.
Eric too. Eric's our producer.
Hoppaday, Eric. How you guys doing?
So, Senator, the congressman has this request to the Republican Party of Guam to help get H.R. 7301 passed in the Senate so that there can be more than $200 million in financial aid to renters, homeowners, and landlords on Guam. Is the Republican Party going to be responding anytime soon, and what might that response be?
Well, Troy, we just got the letter today, just before noontime, and our executive committee did meet on the issue.
Okay.
And
Oh, that's
we should
fast.
be issuing a response probably by tomorrow to the congressman.
Okay.
And you know it, Troy. Anytime there's an opportunity to get assistance out to our people, and anytime our island can reap any of the benefits that the federal government can give to us, especially during this time, we have to sometimes put differences aside, or whatever it may be, partisan politics aside, and come together for the benefit of our people.
And Johnny was talking about this is not the first time that you guys have reached across the aisle to do this for Team Guam. Anything you want to say about that?
Well, like before, right, when it came to war reparations or other issues, we always try to, and I think that's what's important, right, is that we always look for what we can do as one voice, one team, especially when it comes to our people.
Yeah.
We need to, politics has a place in where it should be, but then sometimes we need to put the politics aside and do what we need to do for our people so that they can be able to benefit especially when it comes to home own. And, you only own a home once, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people have mortgages to pay, a lot of people have rent to pay, and a lot of landlords need to collect rent so that they can pay their mortgages at the bank. So, this is going to be something that everyone would be able to benefit from.
Well, excellent. Cool. Thank you so much for your time on this, Senator. And we're glad that the Republican Party of Guam seems to be supporting this, and hopefully this sails in the Senate.
Yeah, we hope it passes, and we hope that all that money can come out here and help the people who really need it. Those whose homes could be in jeopardy, 18 days from now, right? Or those who are renting and could be potentially kicked out. We don't need that. We have enough homeless folks here on the island that we need help, and we don't need any more to add to that.
Excellent. Thank you, Senator. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Troy. Thank you, Eric. Thank you,
You
Johnny.
too.
You guys have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Right. So moving on, and so good news all around. Hopefully it passes in the Senate. Moving on, the Attorney General the Attorney General actually did a lot today. There's two really big things coming out.
Thank God.
So the Attorney General filed a response to Guam Music Inc. That's the
Gambling.
the main people who do the gambling machines, right? A response to their request for a stay of the execution of judgment. What that really means is that because Guam Music Inc. lost their case in Superior Court
Barcinas?
to continue, yes, Judge Barcinas ruled against them and basically said, cannot have these gambling machines.
Because it's illegal.
And
They are
because-
deemed illegal. You got the license.
The rules were not properly
Right.
The rules are invalid, basically. And so the rules are invalid, then these gambling machines cannot operate. Plus, gambling machines are not allowed to be operated on this island according to Guam law. And so that ruling came down on March 13th. That was one day before the public health emergency began. The written ruling was issued on March 16. That was the week that the island was shut down. Operations were shut down by Governor Lilian Guerrero.
March 13.
Yeah, on March 16 was the written order, though.
Oh, okay.
That came out. And the something wasn't, it was not issued until June 3. It was not entered onto the docket of the court until June 3. So by 5 days later, on June 8, Guam Music appealed Judge Barcinas' decision and asked Judge Barcinas to stay his judgment, meaning to allow it to continue operating while the appeal is going on. I'm not even sure if they could do this now, because I don't know if game rooms would fall under the category of businesses that are allowed to be open. But what they want the judge to do is, I guess against the judge's own reasons for shutting down the game rooms, say, since this is on appeal, and maybe there's a chance that my ruling will be overturned, why don't you go ahead and operate, because you guys will suffer irreparable harm if you don't operate. And I thought the very interesting thing about the argument that this was an attorney general who did not pull any punches. Sometimes the attorney general is very reserved, doesn't say much. Like in the Joey Uggan thing, he didn't really say much except,
That it was a soft punch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't hard.
There weren't many details given. In this, the attorney general lays it out and throws a punch at Guam Music Inc. in saying that, how can Guam Music Inc. say they're suffering irreparable harm if the basis of that is that they filed or they applied for federal COVID-19 relief. I believe it's the Paycheck Protection Program. And they got this loan, and they would not be forgiven for the loan according to the program's guidelines if they don't open with these gambling machines. The problem that the Attorney General points out, and he just says it point blank, he says, hold on.
Right here.
Go ahead and read that.
GMI represents that it has taken advantage of federal COVID-19 programs. GMI alleges that it will not receive loan forgiveness if the judgment is not stayed. GMI, however, does not elaborate on the consequences. It is also unclear from the pleadings whether GMI applied for COVID-19 programs after this court issued its decision. If it did, GMI knew that this court had declared the gaming rules and regulations invalid and knew about the risk it was facing applying for the programs. Following the terms of the program that GMI agreed to is not an what is that word? Irreparable injury. Atlas states that the harm will come when COVID restrictions are relaxed. But the relaxation of restrictions is not timed for a definite date, which further contributes to the speculative nature of the defendant's assertions.
So the problem the Attorney General points out is that the judge already shut them down on March 13. The public health emergency happened one day later. There's no way they would have been able to open otherwise over the next few weeks, but that this program that they applied for didn't exist, wasn't authorized until March 27. So they applied for this program knowing that there was a judgment
against
not
them
to open and not to operate these gambling machines.
And it had nothing to do with COVID.
Yeah, they asserted to this federal program that they would be able to get the loan forgiveness based on their ability to open up again and to make money. off of these machines that already
Are illegal.
they knew was illegal. They knew that the judge said they couldn't do. This is a very interesting thing. The Attorney General implies fraud on the part of Guam Music Inc. and maybe even Atlas Amusement. I'm not really entirely sure. But if you want to see, this is an opinion that came out, or I'm sorry, a filing that was made late yesterday, as a matter of fact, July 6th. We only saw it today. It was provided to us by the Attorney General's office. So thank you very much to the Attorney General's office for providing this, but more importantly, for filing this. This is we're going to follow this. It's very interesting. The other thing the Attorney General did today was move to dismiss the murder charge against Anthony Mendiola. Now, Anthony Mendiola originally was charged with murder in the death of Joey Zamora. And by the way, before we forget, Agnes Matsanani is the mother of Joey Zamora, and she just wants to give her son a proper burial. So she's asking, and it's not a very easy thing for her to do, but she really wants to give her son a proper burial, and she's asking for
help.
Yeah, just your kindness, your contributions to her. She has a PayPal. Cello, do we have that PayPal information?
For my boy Joey.
PayPal.com/formyboyjoey.
Yes.
There we go.
PayPal.me
There you go.
/ for my boy Joey.
This is just such a sad thing all around. But the interesting thing about what the Attorney General did today, and Eric was asking me earlier when we were gallivanting, he said, is this the first time that the Castle Doctrine's been used? And I said I had a conversation with an attorney who cannot remember another Castle Doctrine thing being used, but was almost certain that there was. He just couldn't remember it. But I don't remember a Castle Doctrine thing being used in the news. To me, this is the first time in my recollection that this is being used. Do you remember anything?
I know about someone who really hurt or killed somebody because they were entering the home, but the Castle Doctrine wasn't in effect. So he went to jail for involuntary manslaughter.
And this was before. So he was trying to protect himself and his family.
Oh, yeah. Him and his mom.
And this is before there was a Castle
Yes.
Doctrine. So a Castle Doctrine would have helped that guy.
Yes.
But instead
most
he served
definitely.
time
and he had a license for a gun.
This guy, okay, so Anthony Mendiola did not have a license to use the gun that he used to kill Joey Zamora. But this is what the filing by the Attorney General's office today said. The people of Guam respectfully request leave of court to dismiss charge 1. Charges 2 and 3 would not be affected by the motion. The magistrate judge found probable cause for all 3 charges at the magistrate's hearing. So that was when they came out with the, murder, no license or unlicensed firearm or whatever, right?
Registered firearm.
The Attorney General continues, yet there has been a significant change in the understanding of the existing evidence since the day the case was charged and brought before the magistrate judge. Defense counsel, and that's Chuck McDonald is the defense counsel, asked the magistrate court to dismiss the matter based on Castle Doctrine. And in part, the government objected to a Castle Doctrine-based dismissal because it was then believed that the defendant followed the victim into the home and that the defendant was shot in the back. New information came recently to the people of Guam in the form of police reports and a medical examiner's opinion. The new information indicates 3 crucial facts that were not known previously. Number 1, the defendant was actually inside his home when the victim entered the house. And it was the victim's house, as I understand
Correct.
it, right? Number 2, witnesses overheard the victim appearing angry and yelling profanities outside of the defendant's residence as he made attempts to enter the residence and then entered the residence. And 3, the victim was shot from the front. I'm sorry, the defendant is the owner of the house. The victim is Joey Zamora. I'm so sorry I got that wrong. So, Anthony Mendiola was inside his home when Joey Zamora entered Anthony Mendiola's home. Witnesses overheard Joey Zamora appearing angry and yelling profanities outside of Anthony Mendiola's home as he made attempts to enter the home and then entered the home, and then Joey Zamora was shot from the front. Previously, the people of Guam objected to defendant's oral motion to dismiss because Castle Doctrine did not apply under the then existing set of facts. Currently, the facts as applied to Charge 1 do engage the Castle Doctrine. The people of Guam note that the Castle Doctrine is a bar to prosecution, and as a result, Charge 1 is barred. Defendant is also being held on $50,000 cash bail. The issue of continued incarceration or release conditions should be addressed as soon as possible so that all conditions may reflect the case as it will stand after dismissal of Charge 1. And so what remains in this case after that dismissal is
Unregistered firearm, no license.
possession of an unregistered firearm, yes, and possession of a firearm without a valid identification, both third-degree felonies. How many years does that get?
An unregistered firearm is pretty.
It's pretty hefty.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. So it's interesting because it is the Castle Doctrine, and of course there was the information swirling around that Joey Zamora was shot in the back, but apparently the
medical examiner
said that no, he was shot from the front, and so I guess that does change the circumstances for Anthony Mendiola. And then there were just all these discussions that were happening about, on social media about the relationship between the two. And then some people came in and said, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Castle Doctrine is a very strong law, I guess, that favors the homeowner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That
if you were in imminent danger, that you are able to use lethal force. But of course, there are just no winners in this whole situation. None at all. Not Joey Zamora, who's not alive anymore, not his mother, who is trying to bury him, not Anthony Mendiola.
Right, not that man there
who's got to live with this for the rest of his life, and has to endure the judgments from whomever. Joey Zamora's family and his memory has to endure judgments. Just not a pretty thing all around. But the Attorney General, I don't know, I guess the Attorney General, drank something different today or something.
Yeah. Or it could be Anthony Mendiola's attorney pushing for this.
Yeah, he had a good attorney, Chuck McDonald. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, well, all right. So let me see what your comments are first. I'm so sorry. Half a day, Patrick. Thank you, Donna. Yes, Eric set up our set. Good evening, everybody. Okay. What is the other thing? We did the gambling. We did the Castle Doctrine. That was a really important thing. Oh, Phil Tydingco.
Yeah.
Where is that stupid
I
thing?
wasn't able to print it, but I have it online right here, ready.
Phil Tydingco.
You can cast to my screen, Prim.
Okay. At 6. Stand by.
Go ahead and you can take this story.
Oh. Attorney General Levin Camacho has hired ex-chief prosecutor Phil Tydingco back at the Guam Attorney General's office despite the major federal corruption case and raids of Mr. Tydingco's former office at Imperial Pacific CNMI LLC. He was hired and he will be working at the Department of Labor, the AG spokeswoman Carlina Charfris said. The Federal Bureau of Investigation on Thursday, November 7, 2019, raided Mr. Tydingco's office in Saipan, where he was working as general counsel for the embattled casino. He was among several offices and residences raided by federal officials that day in a case that documents state involved public corruption, money laundering, wire fraud, and foreign interference in a United States election. He reportedly resigned from the company a month later. Mr. Tydingco also was a major financial contributor to the gubernatorial campaign of Governor Ralph Torres and Lieutenant Governor Arnold Palacios. Mr. Torres's office and home were among those raided on November 7. According to a disclosure by Mr. Camacho to the Guam legislature, the Attorney General hired Mr. Tydingco back at the AG's office starting June 29. His employment contract will end at the end of the fiscal year on September 30, 2020. He will be paid an hourly rate of $42.82. According to Ms. Chafris, though, the AG's decision to hire Mr. Tydingco wasn't the AG's idea. It was Director of Labor David De La Soya's choice. Mr. De La Soya is part of Governor Lulianguero's cabinet. The Tydingco family has contributed large sums of money to the campaigns of the governor and several Democrats. Guam Department of Labor had an immediate need for an attorney specifically for the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, Ms. Charfris explained. We were unable to provide them with a full-time attorney dedicated to that program. They requested the assistance of Phil Tydingco, and the hiring was facilitated by our office because DOL cannot hire its own attorney. When asked why Mr. De La Soya specifically asked Mr. Camacho to hire Mr. Tydingco, she said, "I do not know. They requested his services because we could not immediately provide a full-time attorney for the PUA program." Mind you, Phil Tydingco has also retired from the government of Guam.
Oh, is he retired from GovGuam?
Yeah.
So I guess it's an employment contract. So I don't know what that means for his pension, though. If he has a pension, I don't know. Maybe he's on the DC program. But what better than our commentary on this is your commentary on this. On the story on Facebook, Songi Guam says Toka, Joe Cruz says weak, Adriano Kidigua says crooks, MT Farron, keep it crooked, Nye. Vincent Castro says corrupt GovGuam. Nick Perlowski says, and people wonder why nothing moves forward because we recycle crooks, incompetence, and do nothing. You can't tell me that there was no other lawyer on Guam that could have been considered for this position, or perhaps they were considered but are smart enough not to drink the Kool-Aid of this administration. John Kichusu says, that's what I see here, corrupt face, that's a fact, Jack. Maria Sui says, make him Winnie again for next year. Paul Tenorio says, social media strikes again. Gloria and Pingo Santiago says, nothing personal, but why? Guam has many other attorneys to choose from. His issue just happened this past November 2019. The present administration should not allow this. This sounds like a I got your back connection. No one is perfect. This type of position needs a better individual. Poor decision. Merly Venus says, right, and he will be working at GDOL. As what? Papa Chulo says, how does he pass a background check? Who is the hiring authority? Guam, another black eye. Wow. Merly Venus says, pari system. Sean Man says, anybody notice that all the crooks are fat on that pic? Gloria Buyin says, I swear I won't believe a person would miss it even if it has just one eye. Betty Duke says, election time, vote them out. Deborah Beneventi says, those are the smiles of fast and easy money doing exactly nothing. These comments, every single one of them, is critical of this decision to hire a man who his office was raided by the FBI on November 7, 2019. And just because he and his family have these very big political connections to the Leon Guerrero administration and to the Democratic Party, they just...
It's sad.
I have to go to church.
Okay.
Because it's already 6 o'clock. So for Kandit News, I'm Troy Torres.
And I'm Johnny Rosario. Good night.
Bye.
Is it here? The mass?
Yeah.